Uh-oh. Yo, fourth. What's the deal? Yo, Amir. That's what we gotta do right now. The golden deer, priest, the 8-deer ocelot claw. Fourth, we gotta go in again. Alright, let's go. Yo, Anunnakis with animal bodies, scanning safari, shapeshift, land of Mugabe. That's where the God be with my Sumerian colleagues. Now there's cameras and lobbies. I'm channeling Gandhi, killers with hammers and party. The technology lord fights with a mechanical army. It's the writer on the clay tablets, grave of the abbots, pray through the Sabbath. God words blaze at the dragon, his captain and his cabin. Engineered the beast gears with Satan mechanics. Pagans invading our campus, nation and planet. Blood in my veins is true blue. The blood in my wings is from the rubu. The blood of a king, celestial beings, the scenes. Now who you? Yo, God. Matter of fact, what's the day's mathematics? Listen, God, wait, hold up. I'm the remnant of God descendant, star defender, the kindreds of all existence. Start remember, divine fists of the North Dipper, seekers to challenge your chakras for my lost niggas, or AKA Walt the Killer, or meet my fists of the blue sky, the woo cry, Zoo. Now my Zoo tribe, sacred fists of the southern star. God governs my bars, established from above and beyond. The Dogon lift up the trillathon, the prone killer had formed. The rap Christ lay on pillars of thorn. The 8-deer ocelot claw, prophet on walls. Great is the Lord, great is his name. Swing his sword at cyborgs and robots. And y'all go watch wind up toys. Y'all niggas get your throat chopped. Yeah. Know what I mean? Second world. The golden deer. Big son, I told y'all. Priest.
Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, what's going on? What's going on? Long time no see. Decided to pop out and show niggas that I am still here. Dealt with some family health issues, which I will talk about in the future. But I want to get this video out to the people. If you are here, please drop your information. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know you're in the building. All right. And I'm not going to waste too much time. I want to get started. This video is not about endorsing any particular candidate necessarily. Oh, I'm getting hot. Excuse me. Ooh, drinking tea. This video is not about endorsing any candidate necessarily. Again, you know the saying, two wings, same bird, whether they are a Democrat, read bloodlikin, right? They all in the same gang, right? They all have the same objective. They are all the elite, and they are all here to make sure that they could take advantage of your energy. As Morpheus said in the Matrix, they are here to use your ass as batteries, right? Until you die and drain you of all your energy, right? Use all your natural resources, right? You're classified as a natural resource. To use your natural resource, your physical body and your spiritual energy, basically your soul and your spirit, and use it in service of the empire. So this way you never achieve your true purpose. You never know who you truly are. And you're constantly a slave for materialism, right? You're constantly chasing money. You're constantly chasing external value. You're constantly chasing celebrity. You're constantly chasing the gossip mill about celebrities. And you're never focused on really becoming who you truly are here to be, which is a God on earth, and live out your purpose, whatever that may be, at the highest level, so that it could impact the planet and improve the lives of not only yourself, but your family and those that are close to you, right? We're not worried about saving the world, right? That's not what this journey is about. It's not about saving the world. This journey is about saving yourself. And through saving yourself, making yourself the savior, you becoming the Christ in consciousness. Now, with that energy and that electromagnetic force or pulse that you're putting out, now you will be impacting the world in a very positive way. So this particular channel is about mysticism. It's about esoteric knowledge, all towards the purpose of directing you towards achieving your highest spiritual self or your highest self here on earth, using these things for personal spiritual self-development, not binding, not hexing, not cursing people, although that is part of it, but really to come to the true essence of who you are and understand how to use magic, which is manipulating and guiding your intentions, right? Cause knowingly, meaning you're using your energy to manipulate energy for your benefit, for your personal self-development. So that's what I'm talking about here. So what I want to start with is just this particular scripture to show you what we are initially going to be getting into today and the main crux of this particular talk. And we're going to go into, of course, how to use Kamala Harris's energy. And I don't think a lot of people really looked at this. So I want to talk about it, how to use this particular energy for your benefit, for your growth, right? And for you to be prosperous while you are here on earth. So let's do this. I want to share this. And if you are here, please hit that like button. Let's go into presenting. It's been a while since I've been back here, so forgive me. I'm taking. Oh, let me do that. Okay, that's why this is. All right, let's do this. All right, here we go. So, what we are looking at here, so this is 2 Corinthians 4:18, right? Now, the Bible, right? We're not looking at the Bible from a literal sense, right? Those of us that are using our spiritual eye, our third eye, or our first eye, so to speak. We're not looking at this from a literal sense, right? We're looking at this from a spiritual or esoteric sense, meaning we're looking beneath the surface of the things we see in the Bible. Most of the things that you see in the Bible are parables, right? They're not to be taken literal. If you think a man sat in a well, like Jonah, for 3 days, if you think Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt simply by looking back at her, right? If you think every animal on the earth was in a ark, right? And all these things that you've never seen in real life, but you think is actually happened way back then, which the Bible is only dated 6,000 years ago. So you think between 4,000 and 6,000 years ago, these things really happened, right? You really need to come into reclamation, right? This is what knowledge itself all is about. So you can look beneath the surface of things and not take things literal. Look beneath what you're seeing and see the real meaning, and more importantly, the energy, frequency, and vibration behind it. So this verse says, so we fix our eyes on not what is seen, but what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal, right? So anything that's in this physical universe or this physical world is temporal, right? It's going to be destroyed, right? You can have the fanciest car, the biggest Rolls Royce on the planet, but that Rolls Royce will eventually fall apart, right? It'll eventually come undone, right? Through the process of oxidation, just basically it burning, right? Literally through oxygen over time, right? And you see that Rolls Royce is going to rust if you don't drive it, right? And then eventually it'll fall apart, right? We've seen things change from the 1900s to the 2000s, now even to the 2020s, right? Things have drastically changed. So when we are looking at this world or this universe, right, we have to realize that this physical world or the world of matter, things are going to fall apart, right? Things will get destroyed. So we don't want to look at the surface of things. We want to look beyond the surface of things. We want to look at what is unseen, right? Because what's unseen is eternal. What unseen is what lasts forever. And that deals with the subconscious mind, that deals with the spirit, that deals with the soul, right? These things that live on beyond your physical body is what's eternal. So that's what we want to tap into. And that's the purpose of this, of even studying anything esoteric or anything spiritual. So what we're doing is looking at what's happening on the Earth. Let's start with this. So a CME, coronal mass ejection, struck Earth on August 10th, right? But the impact was weak. It did not cause a geomagnetic storm. At least two more CMEs are on the way. Their arrival is August 11th, which is today, and 12th, and caused Class 2 geomagnetic storms. Now, those of you who are melanated, right, this is a very important time, or highly melanated, I should say, or EU melanated, right? The difference between different forms of melanin, right? You have regular melanin, that's for the skin. You have what they call phenomelanin. You have neuromelanin, which is for the substantia nigra, the L-dopa or dopamine, the dark part of the brain, right? So where there's a lot of neuromelanin, right? And then you have eumelanin. What eumelanin is, it's the ability to absorb ultraviolet rays. So the fact that, keep it simple, so-called black people could stay in the sun longer than most and not catch skin cancer, right? Is because their ability to absorb ultraviolet rays. Now, if you look at the chakra system, the top three chakras, right, or the three chakras that are the most high, right? You have the dosha chakra, which is blue. You have the third eye chakra, or the ajna chakra, which is purple. And then you have the crown chakra, which is above the head, which is ultraviolet, right? So those ultraviolet waves that are coming from the sun due to all these solar flares are imbuing those of you who are out in the sun, who go out in the sun, with extra knowledge, because light brings messages, right? Light is a message carrier, right? Light is information itself. So the more light that this melanated body that is protected, right, from ultraviolet rays poisoning you, it actually edifies you. It actually gives you more power. It actually imbues you with more wisdom. You get what they call, quote unquote, downloads, thought forms, right? So it's important during these times, right, to go out and get some sun. And while you're going out and getting some sun, to think as positively as positively as possible, no matter what's going on in quote unquote real life. Because again, we're not focused. If you are truly a magician, if you are truly a mystic, if you are truly an esoteric scientist, right? If you are truly about self-mastery, you're not looking at the surface of things and matter. Matter is the effect of the cause, right? Matter is the effect of the cause, right? There had to be an idea. Everything, including the computer, the microphone, the cell phone, everything once started in the mind, right? It was once an energetic wave of thought before it became a reality. So basically, what the sun, when it's ever spitting out solar flares, right, is shooting electrically charged particles called ions on the body. So essentially, you could say, to give you a metaphor, right, when you put some popcorn in a microwave, right, and that popcorn goes in the microwave, that popcorn that's in the microwave is it pops when there's heat, right? So you need to put the popcorn in the microwave so that it could actually, the kernels could explode. So consider that the same thing as when there's solar flares around, all right? That heat is causing your brain, your temples, right, to expand, to get more light, to get more information. So now is the time that we really want to get out in the sun. And again, think as positive as possible. Think your highest dreams, thoughts, ideas, right? Sit out in nature, ground yourself, right? All these things are positive and will strengthen you during this time. And this is Leo season. So Leo season is a time of strength anyways. The 8th month corresponds to the 8 card in the tarot deck, the trump card, which would be the strength card, right? And we know we just had the 888 Lionsgate. So now that that's passed, that we're in the gate, right? A gate is a doorway. So we're in this window where we're able to really, really level up. So we don't want to take this time for granted, right? We really want to meditate, visualize, feel, and move in the directions of the life and the dreams and the things we say we want. So let's go into this next. So let's go into also what they discovered recently is there's a 12 billion year old body of water discovered floating in space. All right. So there's a 12 billion year old, peace to come to mama, peace and love. There's a 12 billion year old body of water discovered floating in space. All right. So so when the ancients have been talking about, the universe starting with water and that there's everything begins with water. This science is proving that. Okay. So this is something you could dive deeper into yourself, but I thought this was pretty interesting that, the human body is mostly made of water. The planet Earth is mostly made of water. So water is really our foundation. In fact, the Nomo, which we'll talk about later, which is the spirits that the doggone said was sent from Sirius, and we're right now in the Sirius Gateway, the star Sirius. The Dogon, right, said from the dog star, the Nomos came here to Earth, right? And the Nomo, if you look at them, they look like fish deities. So it's very interesting that they found this 12 billion year old, and they don't know if it's really 12 billion. That's just what they're saying, right? They don't really know. 12 billion year old body of water discovered just floating in space. All right. So it's not lost that this was, recently discovered, and, this was discovered in Cancer season where they started reporting this, which is also a water sign. So never forget that you are more than just this human vessel. All right. Never forget that you have an astral birthplace and you come from the stars. Okay. You come from the stars. You're not a terrestrial person, right? This is a temporary avatar for you to use to fulfill your purpose, right? Of you being reincarnated here to figure out why you're here, what your purpose of being here is for, and what is it that you have to do. And it doesn't have to be one thing, it could be more than one thing. But we all have a stronger thing that if they gave you no money, right, you ain't get no paper, you would still do it, right? And we all have something that's like that you do for free, that you spend hours on, that you do for free. Those things are tied into your purpose. Those things are tied into why you are here. And your goal, all our goals really, is to be at the highest level of peace and joy, ultimately, no matter what happens, to be at peace and joy. And that is essentially managing the waters in your body, which we're going to get into shortly. Okay. That's managing how you flow, right? We all know people with a negative flow. We all know people with a positive flow, right? We all know people we don't want to be around. Their energy doesn't vibe with us, right? A vibe is a wave of energy, right? When you're talking about vibes, you're talking about wave of energy. So this is how serious and how powerful water really is, all right? Let's continue. Also, July 22, 2024 was the hottest day on record ever, okay? So when it comes to heat, again, if you're melanated, we're talking about the ultraviolet rays, right? Ultraviolet rays correspond to the crown chakra. So that's crown chakra energy giving you downloads, giving you information from higher sources, okay? Everything that exists always was and always will be. What they say, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Everything comes from somewhere. We stream consciousness the same way you would stream a video on YouTube, right? And there's same way there's different categories on YouTube, and you can stream and get different information from, Mr. Beast, or you could get something from the Shade Room, or you could get something from, I don't know, whatever YouTube channel you're watching, right? Whether it be sports, right? Football channel, basketball, different channels provide different information. So the light from the sun, right? This heat is again supposed to strengthen you. But this is only if you know how to use the energy. This is why studying of esoteric science or mysticism or quote unquote occultism is what I would say, right? My perspective is something that all melanated people should be into, because this is our original science. Okay. Our original science, even if you study, right? Even if you say you were already here, right? Which a lot of people say, and you studied Native American culture. Native Americans, one of their most popular things was doing a sun dance, right? They did actual sun dances and rain dances, right? They actually honored nature and honored the seasons and honored the cycles. So talking about the sun, talking about solar flares, talking about these record heat, heat indexes is important because it lets you know the time that we are in and the power that you have to access and use for your benefit. But if you're just an ignorant, knuckle dragger, thinking you're a black person and thinking I'm the only human, you're not going to know how to use any of these energies, and you're going to be stuck, right, in the same cycles of debt, despair, stress, debt, despair, stress, debt, despair, stress, right, with small sprinklings of joy here and there, right? And the whole goal is to get out of that cycle, that human cycle, and get into a godly cycle where we're following nature's promptings and using them so that we could ride the wave, right? Because again, we already saw that there was a 12 billion year old body of water discovered in space. So it gets into our origins, right? It taps us into our origins, as I say. So let us continue. So as with this record heat, right, we have new Van Allen radiation belts, all right, after the powerful solar storms in May 2024. And don't worry, we're going to get to the Kamala stuff, but first we have to understand where we are to understand where we're going, all right? So the Van Allen radiation belt formed after powerful solar storms in 2024, all right? So there's a new belt of radiation, or radiation, Ra meaning the sun, okay? So new radiation, of course, new energy, all right? New power source, new ways to level up, all right? I'm going to show you how to tap into this energy using Kamala, right? Or using this heat and to get you into a space of abundance, all right? So it's very interesting how these things are happening, all right? And the Van Allen belt is basically they have to go through two Van Allen belts in order to get to the moon, right? Whether you think the moon thing is a hoax or not, right? Let's just suspend that ideation for a minute. And you have to go through two Van Allen belts to get to the moon. So a third Van Allen belt is now going to make it even, quote unquote, tougher, right? Now, whether they went to the moon and all that, that's, again, that's up to you to think about, right? It's subjective. But we want to understand that oh man, I think I clicked on something. Hold on. Different things are happening right now. And, it's very important because this is what our ancestors did. They studied the stars. They studied nature. They weren't terrestrial. So let's go into, this is not what I want. Let me do. So let's do. So we're going to get into some of the Kamala stuff right now. So stay with me. Bear with me. Let's go. So, oh, wait, one more thing first. Just make sure, bear with me. All right. And also, this weekend, Northern Lights may be visible in the U.S. this weekend. The Aurora Borealis, the famous natural light display, better known as the Northern Lights, may coincide this weekend with the peaking Perseid. So there's a meteor shower this weekend going up until Wednesday. There's the Aurora Borealis, which is the Northern Lights, which is coming from all the way from the North Pole, from Ireland and those areas, coming down further and further, right? So those Northern Lights, again, more energy, more spiritual power, more downloads, more information, more wisdom, more creation, right? This is an energy thing, right? We're looking at these things for energy. So it's a powerful time. Not just that we've gone through the 8-8 Lionsgate and the power of Sirius, right, being at the horizon, but it's one of the times where, we're just being blessed. And there's a reason for this because there's going to be, a lot of challenges And there's a lot of challenges happening. There's an uprising in Kenya. There's these things happening in the United Kingdom right now, where there's like race riots, and there's a lot of uprisings in Haiti. There's a lot of places where um, indigenous people are under attack, and this power is needed, for us to survive and thrive. They say Nat Turner, he saw an eclipse, saw a solar eclipse, and that gave him the idea to start his rebellion. So again, nature is where all the answers are if you know where to look. Let's go into so the full moon in Capricorn. We get into Kamala stuff, right? So this was known as the buck moon, all right? July 24th, 2024, all right? It was the full moon, all right? And it was the second full moon of Capricorn of the year, right? In June, there was also a full moon in Capricorn. So back to back full moons were in Capricorn. This is the same day that Kamala Harris, Joe Biden dropped out of the race and Kamala Harris became part of the race when this happened. So this happened strategically, right? I don't think this was an accident that this happened. And this is also a week before, the week before is the week Trump got shot at, right? Attempted assassination, whether you believe it or not, right? I think it was a hoax, right? I think he was, I think he just did that, right? It looked very pro wrestling, WWE, let's set this up. But, whatever you think, whatever your political, I have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not apathetic when it comes to the politics. But presidential politics, I definitely am. I think it's all pageantry. I think it's all a hoax, and I think it's all a way to get people riled up about nothing. And the same people that will vote for presidents don't vote locally for their own senators, mayors, ombudsmen, councilmen, XYZ, right? So I think it's all a game. But this happened after the Trump quote unquote assassination. The next week, right? Then Biden dropped out. And on this full moon, right, which again was a Sunday, is when Biden dropped out and Kamala Harris came in, right? Right after the back of another full moon. So let's look at what Capricorn means to get some more ideation of what could possibly be the thought process of those in power using, again, the power of celestial events, right? And you could go fact check me, see when she dropped out, it was the 21st of July, or when Biden dropped out and she got in. But we look at this, right? So it's the earth element, right? It's a cardinal quality. Ruling planet is Saturn, okay? Ruling planet is Saturn, right? If you look, now they have what you call the black box, right? Or the black cube of Saturn. And if you look at most major cities in your downtown area, there's going to be a black cube somewhere in your downtown area, okay? There's also this cube that is on top of Saturn, all right? It looks just like a hexagram or hexagon that's on top of Saturn, right? Or this cube. So on the planet Saturn, you can look that up. So Saturn also corresponds to the number 8, all right, which I showed in a video, many moons back this year, how Saturn and number 8 connect and how that even connects with Kobe Bryant, which we'll touch on. But the fact that they switched presidential candidates from Biden to Harris on during a celestial event such as this particular full moon, right, means a lot, okay? Because it's all corresponding to keeping you, the gods, into your humanity and keeping you trapped into a little black box, so to speak, right? Keeping you trapped in the cycle of reincarnating back here over and over and over again, and you just being a battery for the empire, you simply being a human resource who comes here, survives, gets some money, Maybe gets a big house, right? The American nightmare, which they call the American dream, where you get a big house, nice car, 2-car garage, a dog, right? A wife, a husband, right? And you live to the end of your days, right? But we know people who have achieved that over and over and over again, maybe even yourself, and are still not happy and are still not satisfied or are still longing for more sustenance for their soul, right? Who are still hungering for more from their spirit, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to be at peace, right? And we all want to have joy in our life, no matter who you are, no matter the wickedest person to the most righteous person you can think of. We all want peace and we all want joy in our lives. So Capricorn says Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. Capricorn's hard work and persistence gets them what they want. Conventional, scrupulous, perfectionist, fearless, elegant, hardworking, good organizer, loyal, disciplined, dependable. All right, the negative, stubborn, rigid, pessimistic, aloof, taskmaster, domineering, egoistical, unforgiving. Famous personalities: Martin Luther King Jr., J.R.R. Tolkien, Joan of Arc, right, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the energy that they are tapping in to, right? So that, and it says the polarity is feminine. So this is the energy they're tapping into in order to, win the presidency. The electoral college is the one who chooses presidents anyway. So the whole presidential thing is a show. But I do think it is done to see what the masses actually want and what side of the spectrum that they will go to. Will they go with the donkeys, or the elephants, right? The elephants being the Republicans, the donkeys being the Democrats, all right? So that's the energy that was popping. Also, corresponding to the number 8, which we also tapped in, was the number Saturn, right? They unveiled this year's statue of Kobe and Gigi. And what was Kobe all about, right? Kobe's all about hard work. Kobe's all about enterprising. Kobe's all about, coming into the strongest and being your ultimate self, right? The ultimate player, Mamba mentality, right? Being royal in what you're doing, right? And he passed that energy down to his daughter, right? So that also corresponds to Saturn. Right? Again, Saturn's the number 8. 2024 equals 8. We just had the 888 Lionsgate. This is the 8th month, right? So again, all these things are coming into place. Now, what happened? So we had this whole rally, right, where Megan Thee Stallion was twerking. All right. Was twerking. And let me say this. This is the craziest of all the presidencies, the running for presidents that I've ever seen in my whole life. And I've been here many moons and many suns. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this particular run where, people get shot in their ear and people are twerking on stage. I've never seen anything like this, okay? But the fact, and if you look at the title of this, right, it says "Let Megan Thee Stallion twerk for democracy in peace," right? And this is written. I'm not going to read the whole thing or any of it actually, but this is written by a melanated man. All right, this is written by a melanated man, and he's basically arguing that it should be all right for her to be clapping them cheeks, right? Because this is what melanated people want. This is what's popular in society, right? And this is how clownish, right? This is how much of a pageantry, this is how much of a spectacle, this is how much of a mind fuck that this whole election thing has become. It's become a joke. It's not even anything you can really take seriously, like of each candidate, right? Like, how can you take either one of them seriously as a leader? But these are the choices that they present to humanity because humanity says, okay, we're going to accept these two people. What else can we do, right? Because most of humanity are sheep. That's just what it is. So they're going to follow whatever they think is popular. And what Kamala and her team think is popular is obviously twerking, right? But they're doing this not just for a reason of, ignorance. They pick the artist. They know the songs they're gonna perform. They know what they're gonna put out there, right? So besides Megan twerking, right, they also had her sing, her songs, right? And one of her songs is Savage, right? And these are some of the lyrics, I'm that bitch, been that bitch, still that bitch, will forever be that bitch, right? And I think she changed up the lyrics. So I ain't gonna go into the lyrics, but if you look at these lyrics, right, I'm not gonna read all of them, but if you read them, you could tell that these lyrics are not something that should be for somebody that's considered presidential, which is the equivalent of a king, right? Which is the equivalent of a prime minister, right? Which is the equivalent of someone that's royalty, right? These lyrics are not something that should be repeated, right? And this is what people aren't talking about. Like, everybody's upset about the twerking, but nobody is upset about the songs, right? But the songs are the spiritual aspect of the whole thing. The songs, the music is the spiritual aspect of the whole ritual, of the whole spell. And that is what that rally was, right? In Atlanta, right? The home of the strip clubs. It really was a spiritual ritual that was done to the people using Megan Thee Stallion, all right? And hey, I'm not saying that Megan Thee Stallion knows and she's into some deep, higher, elemental sciences and she's, a witch and all that. These artists, they don't know any of these things. They're just following what their handlers tell them, right? They're sheep themselves, right? So they're just doing what their handlers tell them to do and putting them in situations where their handlers, have advised, putting them in situations that their handlers have advised them to come into, telling them it will help them become more successful. But if you look at these lyrics, I'm a savage, classy, bougie, ratchet, sassy, moody, nasty. This is what she said, right? Acting stupid, what happened? I'm a savage, classy, bougie, ratchet. All right. So being a savage, right, is something that has been popular lately, right? It's something that has been pushed to the so-called black community lately in clothing with Rihanna, right? And a lot of rap artists, right? Pushing the idea of being a savage, okay? But what is a savage, right? What really is a savage? That's what we want to get into, because if you're just listening to these things and you don't understand what they mean, right? Then you are no different. And let's look at the definition, because I didn't even look up the definition, but let's look at the definition. So a savage, of an animal or force of nature, fierce, violent, and uncontrolled, of something bad or negative, very great, severe, a brutal or vicious person. Verb, especially of a dog or wild animal, attack ferociously and maul. Okay? So, right, there's someone that is benefiting from you being a savage, from you calling yourself a savage, from you having this ideation and you having this perspective, because everything is perspective, right? You're controlled by your perspective. Your perspective saying that you're a savage is basically you saying that you're an animal, right? You're a wild beast. You're untamed, right? You can't control yourself. You're emotionally unintelligent, which is a stereotype that they've been putting on so-called black people for decades, that you can't control your emotions, that you can't control your feelings. This is what they think about you, right? This is the perspective they're giving, and this is the spell, the frequency of the music. Right, Karamerisms, the frequency of the music, the lyrics, right? But the frequency, the vibration, right? And then her next song is Body Yaddy Yaddy, right? Body Yaddy Yaddy. So what this person thinks and what the quote unquote elite thinks about the melanated community, they're telling you, body yaddy yaddy. All you could think of, you're a savage, right? And all you think of is your body. So everything is from the neck down. Everything that you think of, your perception of yourself is from the neck down. You don't care about intelligence. You don't care about wisdom, right? You're not a thinker, right? You can't think critically, right? You're emotionally intelligent, right? All you want to do is dance, right? All you want to do is have sex, right? AKA what Democrats did 2020, take your booty to the polls, right? Vax that thing up, right? All sexual in nature, right? To get you riled up. Again, body, yaddy, yaddy, keep you in your physical vessel, keep you in your animal state, keep you in your R complex nature, right? The reptilian complex that is in you, right? That's responsible for fight or flight and keeps you in that animalistic state. This is what they want to keep you in, right? So this is part of the ritual. So that's the real problem, not just Megan Thee Stallion twerking, right? That's one of them, but it's this neck down mentality that they have projected onto the quote unquote so-called black community, right? That's all we are. And by the looks of it, people ate it up, right? I've seen comments, on the internet where people was like, they wish Kamala or Kamala twerked, right? They was like, I wish Kamala twerked. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we at. So this is why, in my personal opinion, I think and know that black is a curse, right? And if you look up black in the dictionary, right? Evil, vile, disgusting, violent, right? And I'll just give you a quick example. If I say I'm doing black magic, right? No one thinks I'm, helping people. No one thinks I'm healing anyone, right? No one thinks I'm transforming anybody's life, right? If I say I'm doing black magic, people think I'm doing something negative. You're going to think I'm doing something negative. There's black ball, black death, black plague, right? Black market. There's nothing. And if you look at a black community, right, you see the hex of those words, right? Because all those things are in the quote unquote black community. So we need to get out of that ideation of being black people and call ourselves by our names, right? If we are made in his image, call ourselves by our names. We're the gods of the planet, right? You can call yourself gods, you can call yourself Moor, you can call yourself native, you can call yourself indigenous. But if you're calling yourself black, and that is part of your subconscious programming, right? You're going to be victim to things like this. You're going to be like, oh, it's okay. Let Megan twerk in peace, right? Who cares if this is all they think about us? Who cares if this is how they view us, right? We don't need anything solid, right? Let's just give them something non-substantial, keep you in the flesh, right? As Montre Jones said. So let's continue. And let's get into some of what's going on. So the next day, and this is just to show you, there's different type of quote unquote black people. So Kamala Harris, the next day after she had Megan twerking and was talking about absolutely nothing, right? And again, I have no dog in the fight. I don't care who wins. I'm Republican, Democrat. I ain't in it. I'm looking beyond the surface of how energy is being used against and for you, right? And most importantly, my focus is for you. But I want to show you something because a lot of so-called black people don't understand the games that's being played against them. And we have to understand where we were to understand where we're going. So it says, suit with Irene Neuwirth, Pearls for Houston campaign rally, right? So in this rally, right, where she was in Houston, this is a boule rally, all right? Sima Gamma Row, you could look them up, and it even says it. 60th, Kamala Harris continued her power suiting streak during her recent campaign event in Houston on Wednesday. The vice president and Democratic presidential candidate spoke at the Sigma Gamma Rho's 60th annual biennial boule. I guarantee. And I looked at this because it's on YouTube. There wasn't nobody twerking. There was no rap music played before she came on stage. Everybody in there was suited and booted, right? So when they say things like the black woman is the most unprotected on the planet, well, the boule doesn't say the same thing. The boule are protected, right? The Eastern Stars are protected. They have their own network, right? And they profit. And if you look at people like Al Sharpton and Crump, These people profit off of the pain of melanated people. They profit, right? This is how they get their money. This is how they get what they want. This is how they live. They live by exploiting people that look just like them. They don't care, right? So when she went to Houston, which was literally the next day, right? She didn't look like body yaddy yaddy, right? She wasn't twerking, right? She didn't have any rap music. She came to them as people of business because that's what the Boule is about, right? And she's part of a Greek fraternity. But what they do is these Greek fraternities is, and a lot of people, AKAs, gammas, whatever, they talk about their fraternity. But in order to get in these fraternities, you have to do what? Go through an initiation, right? You have to go through an initiation ritual, right? Which usually involves some sort of humiliation to see how obedient you will be, to see how willing you are to listen, to see how willing you are to go through the stress in order to become part of this organization, right? So these Greek fraternities, what they do is they put themselves, and to be melanated and to pledge to a Greek fraternity is a mind fuck in itself, right? I'm not knocking anybody who pledge, but I am saying it is a mind fuck if you have knowledge of self and you're going to pledge to the Greeks when your heritage and your ancestors are Greek, right? But these Greek fraternities, what they do is they pick the best and the brightest, and they bring them to the back rooms apart from everybody else that's just in the fraternity to drink and mess with girls and guys and get the perks of networking. And they get the best and the brightest, and they initiate them into the secret society within the Greek fraternities, which are the Boule, and you have the different ones for Caucasians, the Skull and Bones, and et cetera, right? These different societies. So everyone that's in these Greek fraternities, that's in these Howards and Spelmans, these so-called HBCUs, right, are not on your side. All skin folks aren't skin folks. And if you look at Boule, right, question is, what does Boule mean in government? It's a legislative council of ancient Greece consisting first of an aristocratic advisory body and later of a representative senate, all right? So basically, it's a legislative council, right? The Boule. So these are the lawmakers, right? Advisors to the king, right? This is from ancient Greece, right? So basically, they report back to their masters, right? The Boule also are descendants of the quote unquote what they call the mulatto or the gentile class of the slaves, right? Of the melanated slaves or the prisoners of war that got free, right? For instance, they had a bond. Like if you look at the movie Harriet, right? The movie Harriet, remember Harriet had, in the beginning of that movie, if you saw the movie, the husband, Harriet's husband, had paperwork, and he brought it to the master and said, look, the previous master said, when he dies, I'll be free, me and my family, because there was a bond, right? That they had to, when they bought or purchased the slaves, there was a bond. So that paperwork was allowing them to be free, right? And he ripped up the paperwork. He didn't respect it. But this is the class of people, the Boule, these secret societies that were melanated, right? But still look down on the masses of so-called black people. These people are still in power today. A lot of them are your mayors. A lot of them are your senators, right? A lot of them are people in government that you think are on your side, but they really are looking to milk your black ass as much as possible, right? So, and that's the same class of people that were free from, got bonded. So let's say, in the beginning of the Harriet movie, you actually got bonded, right? You got free, right? You sent your paperwork, they set you free. Now you're able to, you're essentially above the slave class, right? You're able to buy things, own your own home, right? Make your own money. You're a freeman, right? You're a free man. So these people, right, established certain things, and they were basically the gentlemen's, or basically they were basically Caucasian people, right? They were basically quote unquote high class white people because they didn't have any culture that they retained from their homelands. So they became what they saw as people of power at that time, which were high-class white people. So these are the people that are still. So I say all that to say that this is the Boule class, right? And they have things like Jack and Jill of America, right? You've probably never heard of this, and you've been melanated all your life. You've probably never heard of Jack and Jill. But what is Jack and Jill? Jack and Jill is an organization, right, for members of the Boule, right? And you can't get in, all right? You're not going to just be able to get in, all right? This is for melanated people. 262 chapters representing more than 50,000 family members, all right? Each chapter plus plans annual program and activities guided under a general 5-point programmatic thrust: cultural awareness, educational development, health, and advocacy, right? And it says, through service projects, Jack and Jill of America creates a medium of contact for children to stimulate their growth and development through lobbying, educational program, dissemination of educational materials, and the organization of community and charitable events, all right? So right now, so-called Black children are committing suicide at astronomical rates, right? Astronomical. And this is boys and girls, right? Astronomical rates. You know, we all know about the prison system and how it ensnares so-called Black and brown people, right? Why isn't something like this in every ghetto of America, in every hood in America, something like Jack and Jill? Because you can't get in here, right? You can't get in here. You have to be, and I had it before I switched, but basically you can't get in here, and they'll tell you, like, you're not getting in unless you know somebody. You're right. It says it straight up. You can't get in unless you know somebody in this particular organization, right? Oh, by uniting individual members' efforts, Jack and Jill of America has built a strong, cohesive organization that positively impacts the lives of children, all right? Membership can be obtained via legacy status or via invitation, and you got to pay. The legacy application is due annually by January 31st, all right? So again, these are people, and these are the Kamala Harrises, you know, the Benjamin Crupps of the world, the Charlie Rangels, the you know, Benjamin Crumps. These are the people that look like you but don't give a fuck about you. All right. So we got to get out of that. You know what I'm saying? So she said Jack and Jill plugged the kids up. My little cousin got over 1 million. Right. But they probably had to know somebody, you know what I'm saying, in order to get in. This is not something that's open for the Black masses, because that's the same class system or the same caste system, right, that they had during slavery, where they had some free Blacks and some Blacks that were still enslaved. Like, everybody thinks that all the so-called Blacks were slaves. This is not true, right? All the so-called Blacks in America were not slaves, right? Yeah, come to mama said their parents are Boule. Exactly. That's the only way you're going to be able to get in, all right? So all skin folks are not kin folks. We got to stop looking at people that are so-called Black. Again, look beyond the surface and look at who they really are and where they really come from, right? It's not about voting for a color, right? It's not about what they call identity politics, you know? So yeah, I thank you, Come to Mama, for that feedback. I appreciate that. All right, so let's continue. So we already understand the Boule. What they do is they recruit people from, and this is important to understand, they recruit people from these Greek letter societies, all right? That's how they recruit the senators. That's how they recruit the governors. That's how they recruit the lawyers. That's how they recruit the civil rights people. That's how they recruit the people from the NAACP. It has nothing to do with the fact that these people are for you, because they look like you, all right? So let's go into, we're getting into a little bit of magic. So let's go into the magic now, all right? So the surprising meaning of Kamala Harris's name, okay? So we're going to go all into past that, and it says her Indian heritage, I'm just reading an article, all right? This was written when? 2020, all right? So it says her mother was born in India, father hails from Jamaica, okay? It says her Indian heritage and the wishes of her mother, okay? So she's named after her mother, who comes from the Indian heritage. Who cares about that, really? let's talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time. This isn't a, genealogy channel, but a little bit just to get you an understanding, right? Melanated people are from all over the planet. Okay, indigenous melanated people are from all over the planet, from America to Australia, from the North Pole, the Eskimos, to down in South America, right? Wherever you see pyramids, right? Igloos and little pyramids, right? In Mexico, there's tons of pyramids. In Africa, there's tons of pyramids. And even in Japan and China, there's tons of pyramids. All right. In America, there's tons of mounds, right? Wherever you see those type of structures, original and indigenous people were there. All right. So when you see, so in India, right, there had people called the Indish Kush, right, or Dravidians, right, or even now they have called Denisovians, right. Those are all code names for melanated people, aka so-called black people. Okay, so the fact that even if she was 100% Indian, she could still be considered a melanated being, even if her parents are of Indian descent, because they once were part of Africa, Indish Kush. Okay, so I just want to talk about that, because again, the game is to divide and conquer you by all means. Once you're divided, you're easily conquered. That is the number one military strategy of all times, right? Is to divide and conquer you, right? So whenever you have people, right, and there's people on YouTube and the internet that do it, that divide people on, where they're from and their nationality and their heritage, and this person ain't black and this person is black and this, look beyond that and look at the essence of the people that you deal with. That's really the spiritual way, really looking at people from your third eye vision, looking at people from a Heru scope or a Horus scope, when you're looking at people from the essence and the energy of who they are, right? Or as Martin Luther King said, the content of their character, right? And looking beyond skin color, which is something we have to get off of. This is not the 1960s where, you needed black and black is beautiful in the 50s and all that, right? We understand that, right? We understand that. And now it's time to create new concepts and new ideas based on things that are beneath the surface and not are just neck down, right? Not are just body yaddy yaddy and savage, right? Philosophies, right? Redefining ourselves as gods and goddesses, as the gods and goddesses and the divine beings that we truly are, and the star seeds that we truly are. So anyway, so her Indian heritage and the wishes of her mother Shamala, what we can thank for her beautiful and unique name, Kamala Devi. Both she and her sister Maya were bestowed names that are drawn from Indian mythology. If you really go back further enough in Indian mythology, right, and I've done this in other videos, you'll see the direct correlation to African mythology and Kemetic mythology or Egyptian mythology. The meaning of Kamala Devi. So Kamala itself is a name, or Kamala is a name that means lotus or pale red in Sanskrit. Kamala is another name of a well-known Hindu goddess, and this is why we're tapping in. So instead of them using us, right, as a battery, so-called black people as a battery, and vamping our energy to focus our attention on her and focus our attention on the government and focus our attention on the presidential race, now what I'm going to give you is what you can do to edify yourself, strengthen yourself spiritually, give yourself spiritual power every time you hear this name, every time you see her face. And now the Kamala ads are going crazy. They're going ham. You can't open YouTube. You can't watch a game. You can't look at anything without seeing one of these goddamn Kamala Harris thing. And I pretty much pay for commercials off everything. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I'm still seeing political commercials, I'll pay the $3-4 extra to have no commercials on my Prime, no commercials on my Netflix, right? I don't like commercials, right? I don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't try to sell me something, I like it, I'll get it. But anyway, so this is what we're going to get into. So it says, who is better known as Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the Hindu goddess of prosperity, luck, and beauty, okay? And this is how we're going to use the energy of Kamala, all right? And her middle name is Devi. So Devi is a Hindu goddess as well. It's a Sanskrit word that means goddess, but also the name of the Hindu mother goddess. Devi is considered to encompass womanhood completely as a nurturing force and a protector of villages. Not only does she have a fierce size and is involved not only in creating worlds, but destroying them as well. Now, I found that interesting because the number 8, right, is also a number of building and destroying. It's the number, if you turn 8 to the side, it's an infinity symbol, right? So 8 always represents building and destroying, ending and beginning, as above, so below, as within, so without, right? All that is encompassed in the number 8 and in it being the infinity symbol, right? In order for something to grow, something has to be destroyed. Even if you're going into understanding of your spirituality, you still have to leave old friends behind. You might have to leave old places behind. You might have to leave old habits behind, which are essentially you destroying them in order to make way for something new, right? So this happens not just in life and death, but in our waking life or our spiritual journey here on earth, right? So it says, so we don't care about his sister, but the main thing again is there being the Hindu goddess Lakshmi, a connection to Lakshmi. So let's go into let's go into a little bit more about this. So the deity Kamalatmika, right? So it says translated as lotus, which we already broke down, and is considered to be the tantric's characteristic of the goddess of prosperity. In Shaktism, she is representing as Devi, which we just said is a goddess, in the fullness of her graceful aspect. Okay, so when you talk about Tantra, right, Tantra encompasses yoga, right, or uniting, right, your flesh with the spirit. But a lot of Tantra, well, things that are tantric are sexual, right? So if you connect Kamala, Tantra, sexuality, and then you hear body yaddy yaddy, then you hear savage, then you see twerking, right? During her rallies, you understand that there is a spell, right? There's a spell, there's conjure, right? A conjure of energy, right? And that's what presidential rallies are. They're all about conjuring energy and making the energy be focused on the candidate, right? That's all it's about. So understanding that, this particular deity is, a goddess that's already honored and revered and worshiped. So in Hindu mythology, Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, good fortune, beauty, youth, and happiness. She is also known as the goddess of purity and auspiciousness and is considered a protector and preserver of life on earth. Lakshmi is also depicted as a beautiful woman with 4 arms standing on a lotus flower. Now, getting into this. Now, a lot of times, what do we say, right? We say this person came or got it out the mud. Okay? They got it out the mud, or they're getting it out the mud, right? And what does that really mean? That really means that the person came from the bottom and grew, right, to the point to where they're shining now, right? They're doing great things. They're doing good things. Now, a lotus flower is the same metaphor. So a person could say, I'm a lotus, right? Because what a lotus flower does, it comes from the mud, literally. It comes from the bottom of the river or the creek that it's in and rises up, right? Rises through the water and opens up on the surface, but it only opens up when there's sunlight, right? And when there's not sunlight, it closes. Okay. So that's what a lotus represents. And it's also iconography, spiritual iconography or spiritual symbolism, right? Or spiritual symmetry, right? That corresponds to things that were done in Kemet. You see that a lot, right? In Kemet. Even if you look at, my screen right here, right? You'll see a lotus flower, a lion sniffing a lotus flower. And this is on the walls of Kemet, right? With the sun representing the light that opens up the lotus flower, with representing the open up of your consciousness, right? So this is the energy that Lakshmi in the give me 1 second. So this is the energy that Lakshmi in her essence is representing in something that we could look at and we could utilize for our benefit. So how do we do that, right? How, Rob? How? All right. So we could tap into the Kamala Mata mantra, okay? Kamala Mata mantra is recited by thousands of devotees to please the Ma Kamala, the Mahavidya form of goddess Lakshmi. She is the wisdom goddess who stands as a symbol of purity, prosperity, fertility, and celibacy. She is considered to be a manifestation of the divine energy of Lord Vishnu. Although she appears similar to goddess Lakshmi, she is the last Dasha Mahavidya goddess who depicted as the sadhana that Lord Vishnu undertakes while doing his divine task. All right. So it says it's also known as Shodashian, but whatever. Ma Kamala is a goddess of fame and fortune who bestows wealth, who bestows wealth, who bestows wealth and success upon her followers. All right. Listen, and again, we're not talking about her as a person, okay? We're talking about the energy she represents. We're talking about the name that she has. We're talking about the fact that they're going to force feed Kamala through the news, through your YouTube, through the internet, through your timeline. So how can you use this energy to benefit you and not benefit them, especially if you're not participating in the presidential political election, right? This is the way you could use it for your benefit, okay? Says she is possesses the power to create aesthetic beauty and material riches in order to eliminate poverty and develop meaningful sustenance of mankind. Now listen, me personally, I don't even like talking or listening to spiritual people who talk about money in a negative way. All right. Money is a woman, and I love money, and money loves me. All right. I love money, just loves me. You know what I'm saying? It comes to me, it attracts me. I find it in the street when I don't need it, right? It's when I want it, it comes, right? And this is how you should be thinking, right? I don't care if you have $0, because this is how I thought when I was broke, when I didn't have money, when money wasn't coming in. This is how I had to start changing my thinking to thinking that this is what happens. And lo and behold, you know, today I'm okay. All right. I ain't rich, but I ain't poor. I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? So eventually over time, which you do this practice, right? Which I'll show you, you will tap into this energy and create a portal. And that's really what magic is. Magic is essentially about creating portals of energy that you could tap into and use for your benefit. But if you don't know how to create the portal, if you don't know where the portal is by studying nature, if you don't understand the frequency that you're on, then you're going to miss it and you're going to miss out on the abundance that you could get. So now during Leo season, right, this is the time where you could tap into this particular frequency and use this so you could shine like the sun, right? You could shine like the gold that you are, right? And you can reflect the light of your truth, right? Unapologetically. And do this while pursuing your purpose. All right. So this mantra, and it's also called a Ma Kamala. So Ma, you may have seen the deity Ma'at, right? The deity Ma'at, the goddess of balance, also corresponds to Lakshmi, right? On the Hindu side. But the Kemetic or Egyptian shrine is Ma'at, right? The goddess of balance, the goddess of fairness, right? The goddess of organization, right? Really, what the Commission said would be the principles that their society stood for, right? And if you look at ancient Kemet, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a broke society. You see gold and precious jewels everywhere, right? Everywhere and in everything. So this is not a society where poverty was the thing. But if you look at the quote unquote black community, what do you see? All over the world, right? Where they call themselves black, you see this poverty perpetuated. Again, this is the power of mantras. Mantras and words, right, are spells. That's why it's called spelling. So we really have to understand who and what we really are in order to really make headways and teach our children these things as well. So, what is this mantra? Well, you can find this mantra on the internet, right? We're gonna play a little bit of it, and this is how, and I'll show you how I do it, right, and how I use it. And it's 17 minutes, something you could do in the morning, something you could do in the evening, right? And you could tap in. Hold up, we're gonna do this. Speed this up, and this is how I play it, right? I'm telling you exactly, and I've been doing this for years. Okay, before when Kamala first hit the scene, this is what I did, but I just didn't share it with people. When she hit the scene in 2020 with Joe Biden, Joe Biden. And the thing is, of listening to this, over time of listening to this, every time you see Harris Kamala Harris, this mantra will come up in your head, right? And it'll attune you to your vision. And even better if you do this in meditation, but it'll attune you to your vision that you have for your prosperity, whatever that looks like. Tiny house, big apartment, loft, abundance, whatever that looks like to you. So, Om Shrim Kamala Hey Namuna Maha, right? Now, the key to a mantra and using a mantra effectively is this. A mantra doesn't have to have any meaning, right? It doesn't have to mean apple or orange or person or thing or place, right? The power of a mantra is in the vibration, is in the frequency, right? For instance, if I say, let's use a word, right? Let's say if I use the word happy, right? And I use the word sad, both of those words have different frequencies, right? So it's not necessarily just about the word itself, it's about the energy behind it. And this is what this mantra will do. Again, you could pull this, there's many Kamala mantras you could tap into. This is just one that I use, and I speed it up to 1.5 to give it that nigga bounce I need. To make it rhythmic, right? So this way it'll stick with me. You know what I'm saying? This is where I can remember it, right? So every time, even during the day, sometimes I'm going to the grocery store, I'm walking about, or I'm in my house, or I'm making breakfast, right? Or I'm making a smoothie or something. These things this mantra will randomly pop up in my head, right? And again, it's something I've used since 2020. I turned it off, but now that she's back in, I re-ramped it up, right? And you're gonna manifest things, right? Like literally, when somebody in my family sent me a $3,000 check since I've been using this, right? Or for nothing, Like, no, look, I'm gonna send you this check. Look out for it, right? Matter of fact, I don't gotta prove nothing to y'all. Believe me or not. But the best proof is you doing it yourself. You tapping into the mantra yourself, and you seeing it work for you. Is That's the best proof. That's the best proof I could give you, right? That's the best proof I could give you. And basically, what you're doing is you're using this energy as what they call a egregor, right? Now, when a lot of people in Western occultism and when they talk about esotericism, well, let's look at what an egregor is first and foremost, right? So it says an egregor is a concept in Western esotericism and occultism that refers to a non-physical entity or thought form that is created by a group of people's shared beliefs, emotions, attentions, and worship. The word egregor comes from the ancient Greek word egregos, which means wakeful. Okay, so Jesus is an egregor. Muhammad is an egregor, right? The American flag is an egregor. Um, your favorite basketball team, football team, baseball team's logo is an egregor, right? These are things that are created and channel a group of people, shared beliefs, emotions, intentions, and worship. So this is how you're using, basically you're making Kamala Harris, in this essence, an egregor for your intentions, for your emotions, and for your beliefs, right? And you can learn more about that. There is a book called Egregors. And let me break this down to the let me get into this a little bit. This book, Egregors. All right. Let me see if y'all can see that. I don't even have the green screen on this doing this. All right, there we goes. Egregors, all right. Mark Sitchin, all right. And in this book on page, it talks about egregors this is on page 53. It says, on a psychic level, egregors are anthropomorphized, which means made human, images of a concept at hand. All right. So this concept is going to be abundance. This concept is going to be riches. This concept is going to be wealth. Okay. And this is one of the things that really melanated people need, right? Is to escape poverty, right? As much as possible. So it's anthropomorphized images of the concept of hand. For instance, peace, war, love, wealth, and nation are all just ideas that are created through visualization and vitalized through regular ritualized emotion, right? So peace, love, war, wealth, and nation are all just ideas that are created through visualization, third eye, and vitalized through regular ritualized emotions, feelings, and finally made concrete through a specialized sign and symbol. These signs and symbols are no different from the logo of a company, brand, product, which are themselves lesser or greater egregores. So, in summary, it says the formation of an egregor is identical to all magical operations where an effect in the material world is desired. So, this is you want to tap into that Lakshmi energy that Kamala has, right? In the process, incense, signs, and symbols, the visualization of concrete images, all right? The visualization of concrete images. So you could use Lakshmi or you could use Kamala, right? To in the formation of magical change and a mental current fortified with emotional desire, which emotional desire are ritually enacted on a regular basis. Okay. So this is something simple. You could listen to this on, you know what I'm saying? This is something simple that you could listen to on a daily basis. It's 15, 17 minutes, right? Until you could, rock to it, bop to it. There's different versions. Again, whatever type of sound you like. Again, I speed this up to the 1.5 because I like the way it bops, and it also made it easier to remember, right? But this is an easy thing to tap into a chant, to tap into a sound, right? And while you're doing this, right, you cleaning up, making your bed or whatever, visualize the type of abundance you have and the type of career you want to have. And, what means you will use to get it and things like that. And feel it. You know what I'm saying? Feel it inside your body. All right. And this is, again, you're making her work for you and not you work for her. All right. So this is the way you will tap into this spiritual energy, and this is the way you'll be able to utilize this for your benefit. And what you're doing is actually causing energy to flow to your pineal gland for you to be awakened spiritually, right? And for you to understand for you to tap into this particular energy, frequency, and vibration, which is what Tesla was talking about, right? And tapping into this particular energy, frequency, or vibration, right? Instead of just using Lakshmi, now you're using Kamala to your benefit, and you're using a mantra, right? So every time you see her, now you're creating a current, you're creating a portal for currency, right? And another book in order to understand how that use that currency, right, effectively, because money, without knowing how to manage it, is just going to come out of your hands, as many of you may know, right? If you don't manage your money, you don't know how to use money, right? Money will quickly leave you. The Proverbs, they says, a fool and his money shall soon part, right? And I have been a fool with my money many a times. So a good book to understand that. And even if you're broke, right? Again, you're creating a portal. You're creating the energy. You're creating the egregor. Why is this not? Okay, here it goes. So this is the psychology of money. All right. The psychology of money, right? You could look this up. There's only one book called The Psychology of Money. So the author's name is Morgan House. The Psychology of Money. So you could understand what to do with these riches. And even if you're broke, right, you want to, in order to understand wealth, you got to create a channel for it, right? How are you going to make it? Is it through your business? Is it through your job? Is it through you creating, you know, getting a second job, right? What is it you're going to do to get this abundance, right? Besides the chant, because the chant, what it's going to do is going to bring you opportunities, right? It might bring you money out of nowhere, right? You might get a couple of grand, you might get a couple hundred, right? You might get a couple of thousand, right? Excuse me. It all depends on how you use this energy, right? But you need to understand how you're going to get that money, make that part of your visualizations, and take that into your meditations, right? And you could take this chant in your meditations as well, or you could use it casually, right? Meditation obviously is going to make it stronger, and it'll create a stronger vessel for the portal of abundance to come with you, right? But if you're going to see this political shit all day, if you're going to argue with it about who's going to win in the comments, at least get something from it for your benefit. Make her an egregor instead of you always talking about how the Jesuits and the government and Illuminati and the secret society are vamping your energy. Why not you vamp her energy? Why not you vamp their energy for your benefit? Why not you use this key that Kamala taps into, the Lakshmi energy, that is tantric energy, right? And you could tap into this particular energy, right? And I'm going to show you one more practice before I get out of here, because I don't want to make this too short. You could tap into, let me do this. There's a mudra, right? And this is tapping into the tantric energy called the Ashwini mudra. Ashwini mudra, okay? And this mudra is basically, right? It says Ashwini, called Ashwini mudra, horse gesture. Ashwini means horse. The practice resembles a horse movement with its anus picture immediately after excavation of the bowels. All right. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you anything super crazy. Just rock with me. All right. Oh, matter of fact, I'm not sharing it. Hold up. Let me do this. Hold up. My bad, y'all. All right, the Ashwini Mudra. So we call this Ashwini Mudra horse gesture. This practice resembles a horse movement with its anus picture sphincter immediately after excavation of the bowels. All right. Just as a horse loosens its anus by repeatedly contracting its anus. So you didn't know there was a mudra that had to do with your anus, right? No fingers, none of this, none of that, none of these mudras, just to do with your anus, right? And this is something that you could do, and I've done this during my meditation. If you meditate using the Kamala mantra, right, tapping into that particular frequency, right, it will charge you with energy, right? And this is the same energy that is attached to your female deities, right? Your female deities, especially one like Oshun, right? There's some sex. Yeah, exactly. Ultra Instinct said Kegels, right? They're not necessarily Kegels, but this is ass Kegels, right? This is you contracting. And you'll notice, even if you like do it now, right? Do it now. You squeeze your ass in and out, right? You'll notice that it's the same thing of when you are tightening, a woman tightening her vagina, a man when he's trying to hold back his sperm. This is also the same thing that happens when you ejaculate, right? When you have an orgasm, your ass contracts involuntarily. So this, well, while meditation will also charge up your spiritual power, right? Charge up your ability to attract abundance. So this is one of the ways. So I just want to tap into that real quick and show you what's happening in the universe with the sun, with these auroras, right, with these solar flares. Adding this mantra to this will also help enhance your magic. And that's all I got. All right. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the comments real quick. I'll take some questions about anything. It doesn't have to be about this. But again, like I said, this is not about this is about tapping into that Lakshmi energy that Kamala represents. It's not about her. It's not about voting for her. It's not about her race. That's all surface level shit. That's not something anybody that's a true mystic, somebody who studies the esoteric sciences, the gnosis of things, right? And any spiritual science that you have has an esoteric component. When you talk about Christianity, Christianity has Gnosticism, which is the esoteric component of Christianity. Islam has the Sufism, which is the esoteric component of Islam. Catholicism, right? They have the Kabbalah, right? Which is the esoteric version of Catholicism, right? So all these major Abrahamic religions, they got a secret side that they know most people aren't going to take any initiative into looking into, aren't going to take any initiative into study. Those are the secret aspects. And these are the things that I hope to bring to the table now and in the future. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, weekend, go outside, get some sun, learn how to meditate. There's plenty of videos out there on how to meditate. I've talked about it various times, right? Tap into that Lakshmi energy, tap into that mantra, learn it so that it's constant. It's a frequency that's in your head that it will play at random times, all right? And find the mantra, find the version that works best for you, but you want it with that particular mantra itself, right? The mantra Shring is something that I already knew from this book. Metal Netter, Volume 1 by Raul Neferment, all right? And it talks about how the mantra Shring is a Ma'at mantra. So you see her mantra name is Ma Kamala. So just understanding, again, putting these pieces together, right? And this is what you have to do on your spiritual journey. You have to study and put pieces, if you're serious, right? Study and put pieces of things together in order to make a whole, because everything was fragmented, right? It's like the 13 pieces of a saw that was scattered, right? That's the metaphor for what time it is. And those who are serious will be doing the knowledge, right? And will be coming into greater steps of abundance. And I just want to, matter of fact, since I have it right here, I just want to show y'all, so y'all know I ain't capping, right? And I ain't going to show y'all all the details, but I just want to show y'all the check, right? Can y'all see this? Random. What's the dates right here? Okay. Random. Just fucking with these. Well, maybe y'all ain't supposed to see it, but random. Family member out of nowhere. Okay. So tap into this abundance frequency, tap into this light frequency, get these downloads, create something beautiful. And thank you for tapping in with me. Like, share, subscribe. Peace, power, and prosperity. I love y'all. I don't see no questions, so we out. Later.